Okay. Hello, everyone. This is a new experiment, trying out some live content, so we're going to see how this goes. I have a bunch of questions that are prepared. The idea, I think what I'm going to do is I've organized them into sections. We'll go through a little column, and in between columns, I'll go to the chat, and if any of you have live questions, we can answer them live and have a conversation there. If this is your first time watching anything that I've made, my name is Mitch Boyer. I make cycling content here on YouTube. The thing I'm probably most well known for is riding up ridiculously steep streets, and then oversharing. So today we're gonna continue with that theme, and I'm gonna overshare a little bit. So, hey Steve, you are my cousin. My cousin Steve there, Ask Steve, he does like these is it paragliding? I don't know what it's called, Steve, but he hikes to the top of a mountain and then he'll ride thermals and float down, which seems really cool, but Val, my wife, will never let me do that. So I live vicariously through Steve's videos, so you should check out his stuff. All right, so we'll jump in. Beginner advice. Best piece of beginner road advice that I ever got. I probably should have prepared a little bit more looking at these questions. I think the best piece of advice I've ever gotten is just consistency, and being consistent with your training. I'm assuming that, I guess maybe that's not an assumption I should make, but I've gone down the training route here with this question. If you're trying to get stronger or better at anything, whether it's riding your bike or making YouTube videos or whatever other people do with their lives, it's consistency, and that's been something that I've trying to get better at. But yeah, the best piece of advice I can give is consistency. What were the key steps on a journey from new cyclist to above average one? So consistency, definitely. The biggest thing for me was working with a coach. I'm really lucky as a YouTuber that I get to, let's be honest, I get a lot of things for free or a lot less than what I would otherwise. So like hiring a coach is very expensive, but having a coach is the biggest thing that brought me from just being a normal cyclist up to an above average cyclist, which I stole that phrase from Mark Lewis. If you haven't checked out his videos, you should go check out his. His whole thing about being above average is that in a lot of things in life, when you're trying to, like if you're trying to be the best at something, you're going to have to sacrifice so much in your life. But if you look at the normal like distribution curve, like a bell curve, if you're just above average, you're just over the top of that bell curve towards the side of people that are more exceptional. That's a lot easier than being the best, being the top 5%, 1%, 0.1% in something. And being just above average is a lot more enjoyable. Going back to the coaching thing, I think that I guess like a couple of things I've learned from coaching. So beyond consistency, the big overall thing I've learned is like when it's a endurance ride or a zone 2 ride, stay at that pace. Don't push too hard. It's really tempting, especially when you're riding with friends and they're like smashing it up a hill. You want to just follow them and smash it up the hill with them. Those days should be at an endurance pace. Excuse me. Maybe I shouldn't have had a bunch of seltzer before this. For those like endurance pace rides, stay in an endurance pace. Don't sprint. Don't do like a VO2 max effort. And then on the flip side, on the days where you are supposed to ride hard, you're doing intervals, you're doing sprint training, go all in on those days. And so it's that balance between like on the easy days, go easier than you think you should. And on the hard days, you need to go really hard. And most people end up somewhere in the middle on both of those days. And that's going to limit the amount of gains that you get. But I'm not a coach. So, watch Dylan Johnson's videos and you'll get a lot more information there on how to really become an above average cyclist, because he actually is. If I were to start cycling now, what would I do differently? I think I would, if I were to start right now. When I first started, I rode by myself, all like exclusively, not almost exclusively. Like I only rode with myself for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. So the thing I do differently is I would start doing a group ride occasionally a lot earlier. It is really intimidating sometimes to go, and especially despite making these videos and putting myself out on the internet, I'm a pretty introverted person. And so going to my first group ride was actually a very daunting thing. But the community you get, the friends you get, especially as an adult, it's really hard to make friends. And you move to a new place. Like I moved to Los Angeles January 2020. Great time to move. And basically started from scratch. Val and I have some family here in LA, but it's really hard to make friends. And going to the group rides has helped me to make friends, to get a community, and that just makes life a lot better. So that's the thing I would do differently. How do you maintain your speed going uphill? I just realized I'm not showing you these questions. I don't. Especially on long climbs. So here in Los Angeles, there's a lot of different terrain that you can ride. So obviously there are a lot of steep streets. That's what got me into steep street riding. But there's also there are climbs. There's a climb up. If I start out my door, I can climb consistently for 3 hours all the way up to Mount Wilson, which I think the elevation is 5,000 feet, and I'm at 500 or 600 feet at my house. So it's a long, big climb, and if I were to maintain my pace on that climb, I would blow up very early in the climb. So my speed going uphill just depends on a lot of things, like what kind of ride it is. If it's an endurance pace ride, I'm not really worried about my speed at all. I'm looking at my power meter and my watts. Before I had a power meter, I looked at my heart rate and just my perceived effort. And I still do both of those now. My watts may be higher or lower by a little bit from what my zone 2 is, but I'll also judge my heart rate and my perceived effort at the same time. It's kind of nuanced. If I'm trying to go up a steep street and it's really long, I also have no choice over my speed. It's just whatever my legs can do. If you have a little roller or something, you're trying to maintain your speed, you can go in with a lot of momentum and try to get over it, but you have to be careful. You have to make sure that that little hill is short enough that as you speed into it, you're going to get the momentum to go over, because if it's too big, it's not going to work. Hopefully that's helpful. And best tip I give to a beginner cyclist. I think that was similar to this first question, but we will answer it again and then we'll go to the chat. There's one more. Okay. Best tip to a beginner cyclist beyond consistency, I would say don't spend all your money on the bike. That's something I did right off the bat. So I gave myself, in 2020 when I bought my bike, I gave myself a budget of, I think it was $1,500 US, and I got an aluminum gravel bike for I think $1,400 US after tax and everything, and I had no money left for things like shoes, helmet, jersey, water bottles, a pump, just all the little accessories that you need to ride a bike. So when you're first starting out and you're kind of setting your budget, make sure to take all of that into consideration. Don't blow all your budget on your bike, because then you'll just end up spending even more money on all the accessories. Unless that's your tactic, you're telling your partner, hey, I'm just going to spend this much, and then you sneak in the other things. There might be other problems with that, but yeah, don't spend your whole budget on your bike. Last one in this column. For someone getting into cycling for health, should you invest in everything expensive? Yes, and you should use my affiliate links. No, you don't need to buy all the nicest stuff. It's just fun to use the nicest stuff, but it's not necessary. get the equipment that you want, and I would say don't go all in at first. I got lucky with the price of the bike. $1,400 for your first bike is really, really, to me, that's a lot of money. Now bikes are a lot more, and I'm lucky enough to ride very expensive bikes. It would have been a bad idea to buy a really expensive bike right off the bat for a couple reasons. The first reason is I didn't know what kind of riding I like to do, and there are lots of kinds of different bikes. So I got a gravel bike that was kind of, like in the middle of everything. And then I realized at the time I really liked riding on the road. So then my second bike was a BMC road machine. So then I bought a road bike, and went down that whole route. And now I'm like, oh, do I want to try mountain biking? So yeah, don't spend a lot on your first full setup of equipment because you don't know what kind of riding you're going to be into. And believe me, there's plenty of time to spend plenty of money going forward. So that's that. Let's look at the chat. I have to catch up here. Oh, thanks everybody. JC Adventures, thank you. Happy New Year. Sean, yeah, being Steve's cousin is pretty great. Cam, just jumping on the trainer here in Australia. Tell me about the time you made your friend unwell while he was trying to enjoy a Europe trip. If you haven't seen that video, Cam and I did. We did 4 Tour de France climbs in one brutal ride. And Cam's being modest. I was the one that was completely destroyed on that ride. The second climb, we went up Alpe d'Huez to start. And when we came down, we were like, oh, we'll stop in a little village, and we'll grab lunch in a village after riding up the Alpe. And we took this route around the back of the Alpe to descend called the Balcony, which is really beautiful. But we didn't find a village at the bottom. And we just kept going past little villages, and we're like, we'll find the next one. And we were out of water, we were out of food, and I just like fully cracked. And yeah. Anyways, the rest is in the video. Sean, I am a bad person. I don't see my cousin that much, and I make my friends ill on trips. It's very, very true. Chad, thank you. Tris, what wheels do you use? All my bikes have different wheels. Right now, I have 3 bikes. I've got the Rita Esprit. That one has the other wheels on it. This is their in-house wheel brand. I like them a lot. It's like pretty wide internal width. So I have 32 mil tires on there, but they inflate to 34, which on LA streets which are not very smooth. That's really, really nice. On my BMC road machine right now, I have a pair of like super ultralight Hunt wheels. They're aerodynamicists, and those are with a 28 mil tire. And then on my Specialized Hard Rock, it's like a retro build. I got these rims because 26-inch tire from Tokyo Bike. It was like the only place I could find that had these rims and would ship them to me in time to make the build. So those are the rims I have. I kind of want to get some deeper rims for my Rita. The ones I have on right now are 40 mil, and I'd like to get maybe some 50s, or try like 60s. It does get a little bit windy here in LA, and there's a lot of climbing, but with how light wheels are becoming, there's like no, I don't know, the penalty seems less and less, so I'd like to try that out. Benjamin, what's your tip for young cyclists 13 to 15? Have fun. It can be really tempting to pour everything only into training, which I think can be a lot of fun. If you like training and you really enjoy it, pour yourself into that. If you want to just like ride around and have fun, just do that. Be a kid, man. Elephant in the room. Are you going to mention that cycling products raffle where we had to subscribe? Yeah. So that's definitely something I'm thinking about this year. So there was a subscriber giveaway that I was part of. And yeah, it's always hard as a creator, kind of balancing that between like having sponsors and creating content for people, and I'm still like learning that. So for those of you that feel like you got too much spam in your inbox, I'm sorry. And I'm trying to be kind of conscious about that stuff and kind of figure it out. So I appreciate you bringing it up and, going on this journey with me as I'm learning how to kind of navigate this and be a creator. Hey, Mitch, just came into the chat to tell you look like cycling father John Misty. Thanks. My hair's not quite as long anymore. I did a buzz cut the other day. And yeah, my hair's pretty short right now. Oh, nice. Zip 303s. Very nice. Would Rita let you do a factory tour video? That would be really fun. I am talking with them about some potential videos this year. There are a few of them. They've got some new like paint jobs on the carbon bikes. We're also kind of talking about maybe doing a custom build and letting it be a little more interactive with the audience. Like you all would help me pick what kind of bike I get built. So like carbon or steel or titanium and a color scheme and what components and all of that. So if that's something that you think might be fun, let me know. I'd like to show more of the kind of behind the scenes of Rita. They're a really small brand, but they're starting to grow. And yeah, there's a lot of cool opportunities. They're very willing to be transparent and share a lot of info, which I think is really cool. So yeah, hopefully we'll have something. I don't know if we'll do a factory tour or what it will be, but there'll be something this year. Tires. What tires do I use? On the Rita, I have the Continental GP 5000s. On the BMC right now, I have the Schwalbe ones. And then on my Hard Rock, I have these Schwab Billy Bonkers, which are very fun to ride. I really like the Continental GP 5000s. Like everybody else, I feel like if you're going with a performance tire, they last a long time. Excuse me. Let me mute this so I don't. Okay, they last a long time. Their grip is good, and they're fairly puncture resistant. I have used other tires, like cotton tires. I would not recommend unless you're like in a race. I found they wear out really, really quickly, and it's kind of frustrating to get a bunch of flats all the time. So yeah, like the Continental GP 5000s I like a lot because they kind of hit that mark of performance and durability. If you're going with Victoria, I would probably go for the what are they called? Are they the Rubinos? I forgot which one. Not the Corsa Pros are very nice for the first couple rides, and then you start to get flats. They have like a more durable version. That one's pretty good. And then Schwalbe, I'd say, is like kind of in the middle. Like it lasts a little bit longer than like a cotton tire, but not as long as the GP 5000s. They're really expensive though. I was talking with a friend on the group ride this morning, and we were just lamenting about how expensive tires are. Yeah, JC Adventures, you'd like the 60s. Mitch, was the road machine too endurance for you? Would you consider going back ever? I wouldn't call it too endurance for me. I think it was actually really, really good for me. So the way everybody's body is different, right? I think this kind of goes back to that point I was talking about earlier. Like, don't spend too much on your first bike. You have to understand what kind of rider you are. You also have to just understand what kind of bike fit you should have. So I'm like 187 centimeters tall, so like 6'1". But my wingspan is shorter because I'm weird. My wingspan is like 184 centimeters. And so I've got shorter arms than I do legs. And so an endurance bike works really well for me because the top tube tends to be a little bit shorter. And then that way I can slam my stem and the bike fit works a little bit better than me. So I'm still like, I'm not super flexible. I'm fairly flexible, but the endurance bike actually fits my body a little bit better. And one of the things that I was looking at when I went from the road machine to the Rita Esprit was the geometry of the bike, and the geometry between the two is fairly similar. The stack's like a little bit shorter, but the top tube length was very similar, and so that was important to me. If you can go to a bike fitter, you can kind of like learn about this stuff, or you can try out bikes. I think that's always really, really helpful. Do I do this full time? Is the money enough to live on? Yeah, so that is a whole can of worms, which I'm happy to get into. Maybe we'll do that real quick, and then we'll pause the live questions. We'll go back to answering questions people sent in prior. Do I do this full time? I do this full time. I've been doing it full time for about a year and a half. Is the money enough to live on? That's another question. I'll show you the money. Let's go over here. Okay, so I'll go to my YouTube studio. Here's my YouTube studio. Go to channel analytics. So this is the last 28 days. You can see the views I had, how much watch time I had, how many subscribers I gained, and then the revenue. So in the last month, I made about $1,700 US. For 2024, I made $27,708.43. Is that enough to live on? Not in Los Angeles. It's not. I also have brand deals and just a tiny bit of an affiliate income. Not a lot. I think I made maybe like $1,500 USD in affiliate income. This is about like 1/3 of my total income, or total revenue rather. My income is much lower. I have to pay taxes. I have to pay for all the videos. That gets really, really expensive, especially when I'm doing these trips where I go to another place in the world and I have to buy flights, buy lodging. I just started a podcast. I had to buy some new equipment for that. So basically, what the situation is and how I'm able to do this right now full time is, before I was a YouTuber, I worked as a product designer at a couple different startups, both in New York City and then here in LA for a little bit before I started doing YouTube. And I saved up about a year and a half worth of like living expenses. And that allowed me to kind of drain those expenses while slowly gaining a little bit more income. And right now it's at the point where, well, I should say, like, there's three main reasons why I can still do it, because I've burned through those living expenses, not like my retirement funds and all of that. But my wife, Val, is very generous to let me continue this experiment. This year is kind of like, to be honest, like a little bit of a make and break. I'm at the point where, so there's that. The other thing is we've kept our living expenses low. So like, we live below our means. We live in an apartment that's maybe not as nice as we would like it to be. But again, Val's letting me try this out. So the business now makes enough for me to cover my half of all of the expenses, but I'm not able to put any money really into savings. Just like a little bit into retirement accounts, but not, it needs to be a lot more for this to be sustainable long term. So the income's like slowly going up year over year. Here, I'll just show you. So this 2024, 2023. So you can see I made about a half of the money I've made this year is what I made last year. That makes sense. I said that in kind of like a weird way. So the trajectory is good. The money's not I live in a place where a 2-bedroom house costs, with like 1 bathroom, costs almost $1 million. So, there's a bit of discrepancy between where we live at and how much money I make. The reason why we live in LA, my wife is a food stylist. She works on, she does food styling for commercials and things for a lot of big companies, including a international fast food chain whose mascot has red hair and clown shoes. LA is where she needs to be. Before that, we lived in New York. So like in the US, it's basically like New York and LA are where you can live to be a food stylist. So for now, this is where we are. She's really, really good at her job, and much more talented and artistic than I am. I always tell her she should be the one doing this career. She is also much better looking than me. Anyways, little tangent there. Very proud of her and very lucky that she lets me do this. So kind of wrapping up the question about like income and am I full-time? Yes, I am full-time. Income is growing. this year it needs to get to a certain point so I can continue to do it. Otherwise, I'm going to have to reevaluate the whole situation. So I would like to keep doing this. The pressure is a good motivator. All right, we'll go to the next column. I'll try to run through these quick because I see the chat is blowing up. Thank you for watching. Why I didn't know how this would go. I did one other little live stream before, but I wasn't sure what would happen. So thanks for doing this experiment with me. Personal / what you did before YouTube. Oh, we kind of talked a little bit about that. Are you the same Mitch we see in front of the camera, or do you have different on and off personalities? Oh yeah, I'm a total jerk off camera and on camera. So I guess I am the same person. I think I'm the same person. I don't really know how to... I'm very bad at hiding how I feel at any moment. So it's really hard for me to put on a different persona. So that's good and bad depending on the situation. If I have to keep a secret, or if I have a surprise, like I'm giving somebody a gift for like a birthday or something, it's really, I have to just not talk to them until their birthday, because otherwise I'll give it away. Tell us about yourself. What do you do for work? What do you like to do when not riding a bike, working on a bike, or making videos about bikes? So yeah, I worked as a product designer before. I also had like a printing company for a little bit, like fine art printing. In the podcast, you'll see a picture behind the guest. That's a picture I took in Tokyo with a medium format camera I have, and I printed it. I've always been into image making. I'm not the best at photography and everything. I think my strength is a lot more in storytelling, but it is like a hobby I have. Honestly, right now, like cycling and YouTube take up most of my life, because between that and just like life in general, I don't have a lot of time for anything else. In the past, other hobbies I've always had a lot of hobbies, but they've always been kind of like art based. I was into painting for a long time, photography, cooking for a little bit, not as much as Val would like me to be. And she deserves me to cook a little bit more often, and I've become a lot better at it. But yeah, honestly, right now it's mostly riding bikes and making videos. I've had a lot of really, really random jobs throughout my life. I have pretty intense ADHD, and so basically what that means is for a lot of my life, I would like have a job for 9 months to a year, and then I would like completely switch my career. So I've worked in finance at a private equity firm. I studied to be an EMT for a little bit. I was in public relations for a second. That did not go very well. I worked for a commercial photographer for a minute. I worked as a special effects artist for about 3 years on movies and commercials. I was a I was a retoucher for a bit. My big claim to fame there is I photoshopped the Lay's potato chips. So if you see the Lay's potato chips, both the original and the ridged versions, that was my work. I was a children's book author. I wrote a book with my first dog, Vivian, where I blew her up to the size of like Godzilla. That was published by HarperCollins. I had the printing business. I learned how to program. I taught at programming school. And then the product design at startups. So I need to, having just cycling and YouTube is probably good for me. Okay, Jim asked, what were you doing before YouTube and how did you make the move full time? I kind of talked about that already. The way that I made the move full time was I had started making movies, and just a lot of practice, a lot of reps, until I felt like I was good enough at making movies to make the jump. So having savings and feeling like the quality of my work was high enough, and then I made the leap, and now it's full-time work, part-time pay. All right, so that's that little section. Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't showing the screen that whole time. Silly me. Let's switch the camera angle just to switch things up. We'll go over here. Let me grab the chat. What do you got? Hey, Carol. It's my sister-in-law. Congrats on 100K. If you are ever in Boston, you should write Corey. Oh, thanks. I'll add that to my list, Margaret. Appreciate it. Sorry, I'm scrolling back up to make sure that I haven't missed too much. Threats. I bought a road bike recently, want to lose weight. What zone do I do? I have a video I'm kind of working on right now. Not kind of, I am working on. That's with Steph Cronin, who's the dietitian who works with the RCA. Losing weight really comes down to like the kitchen and what you're doing there. So that's number one. And then beyond that, the writing that you're doing is like any other writing. I think you should do a lot of zone 2 or endurance writing with some intense efforts once or twice a week. And I think that formula of like 3 endurance rides and like 1 or 2 high intensity efforts for most people like works really, really well. It's always good to, you know, there are a lot of coaches that will do like a consultation. I know the RCA, I work with them. They have some, you can get like a consultation with them, and then I think they have some like off-the-shelf plans that you can get. So that's something good to look into. But yeah, in general, endurance ride plus like 1 or 2 intense rides a week is really good to do and will help with weight loss. But circling back, food, most important. Eating a lot of protein and just like eat a little bit less than you burn and you'll lose weight. Yeah. The IRS coming after me. Yeah. Thanks, Math. I really, really appreciate it. Christopher, don't sponsors keep you afloat? So the sponsorship money, again, that YouTube income is about 1/3 of my income. But a third of my income overall goes to taxes. About 1/3 of it goes to production costs, equipment, travel, all of that. And then 1/3 of it goes to me. And again, I just live in a really high cost of living area. So I am not making crazy money. I'm making substantially less. I made so much more money working in tech. It's painful to look at my bank account sometimes and think of where I could have been. But that said, I feel really lucky to do this job. I get a lot of amazing equipment that I get to ride. Half the reason why I started this was to justify how much I was spending on my bikes. So, it's like a double-edged sword. I get to do something really amazing. I make a lot less than I used to, but I get to do something really amazing. So, that's life, right? You got to pick stuff. Thanks for all the love, you guys. How do you come to choose RCA for coaching? That's a great question, Michael. I was going on a work trip for like when I was working in tech, and I had been watching a lot of Cam's videos, and I forgot what video it was, but it was towards the end of a year. I really wanted to get like stronger on the bike. Cam's video kind of like sold me. I trusted Cam based on his content. He seemed like really competent and a good person. And so then I'm waiting at the airport bar waiting for my flight, and I had a beer, and I'm like, I'll just email him. And I emailed Cam, and I just asked I was about to get married and everything, so I asked him a couple questions like, I want to start up after I get back from my marriage and everything. And he answered the questions like right away. And I was like, all right, I want to do it. And then he was like, oh, I see you're a YouTuber. And I was a lot smaller at the time. I think I had like 20,000 subscribers. And we just set up a deal where like, hey, if you make a video, you can do the training. And I was like, that sounds great. And it's been really, really great working with Cam. Cam is such a honest, generous person. And a lot of the cycling community is really great. Cam, I would say, is right there at the top, though. Just great person. Val says, how do you keep your dogs from barking while you're recording? If you've heard the dogs barking, that's because Val is trying to keep them from barking. So thank you, Val. Got that hair transplant yet? No, Val and I are talking a lot about that. I've got So I'm on finasteride right now. I get a lot of questions in my 900 days of training video, because at the beginning I was like, oh, I was bald uh, and lazy, and then I started riding, and now I have my hair and I'm fast. So I take finasteride and I take minoxidil. I don't know if it's been the stress of this year. One of our dogs has been like sick all year, and I haven't had like a full night of sleep, like all year, because she wakes up like 3 times a night. And so I don't know if it's like that, like less sleep, extra stress, or whatever, but my hair's starting to fall out again. So it's a little scary. But we've talked about the hair transplant. That's so much money, so I don't know. Um, yeah, it is a huge spread of careers. Um, you run 6 days a week, Journals of an Adventure? Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's great. Definitely talk to a coach. I do not run 6 days a week. I only ride when I'm like at my like peak, maybe around 10 hours a week. So you're doing a lot more. Give us some thought on Richie still. So I haven't ridden a Richie yet. I do have a friend. I have a couple of friends who ride them, and they absolutely love them. So that'd be fun to ride one day. Do you have any advice to a young cyclist trying to balance work, school, and cycling? Oh man, it's tough. It's tough to balance cycling with a lot of stuff, because cycling is. I'm gonna turn because I'm kind of tired of facing that way. Cycling is a time-intensive hobby, sport, however you look at it. And I was talking to a friend today at the coffee shop about this, because he's really good, or at least from the outside seems very good at balancing those things, and I'm not so good. So, like, here, I'll show you this. Easier to show it visually than. So this is my. This is my. Oh, does it show it on this view? Why is it not showing it? I feel like normally there's a view that shows you how many videos you have published. Okay, here we go. So here are my view. You can see the first half of the year. I published 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 videos. Then I got back from my trip to Europe, and I published. There's some podcasts over here, so they don't count. I published 1, 2. So I'm the wrong person to ask about balance. That is my goal for this year, going into things, is to find the way to pace myself on a macro level, because I've had this pattern the last 2 years of going really hard both at my content and at my training in the first half of the year, and then blowing up. And it's kind of like what we were talking about with going up a climb, right? You got to pace yourself. If you don't pace yourself on the climb, then that's what happens. You will go fast and you'll blow up, and then you're just hobbling your way to the end of the climb. So I'm learning that. So my advice is seek out a better mentor for that. When I figure it out, I will tell you. But for now, I'm really trying to figure it out myself. Thanks, man. Thanks, JC Adventures. Excellent editing. John Smith, Zwift, yay or nay? Sometimes. I have like a love-hate relationship with Zwift. I think for indoor riding, Zwift is really, really great. It's a lot better than just like staring at the floor, or even just watching a video while you ride. But I really love riding outside, because you get sunshine, you get out, you get fresh air. Excuse me. Sorry, normally I'd edit that out, but can't do that right now. You get fresh air. I don't know. And being in Southern California, I'm really lucky with the weather that we have. So I always feel a little guilty riding Zwift. But whenever I would visit my parents when they lived in Utah, I would Zwift the whole time I was there. Like, we'd visit for the holidays. And that was amazing to have there. So I think my relationship with Zwift would be different if I lived in a different place. Here in Southern California, where it's usually very rideable all of the time, I always feel a little guilty riding Zwift. But it's fun to Zwift race, and it really does push you. Yeah, I've always hit like some of my best numbers while Zwift racing, so that's really nice. Which cycling YouTubers do you follow, like, and which ones do you not follow? Maybe have beef with? Ooh, um, I don't have beef with anybody really. If I do, I'm not aware of it. I really, there are a lot of YouTubers that are like, I feel bad. Like I would, obviously Cam, and EJ and Phil. I've done videos with all of them. I really like watching the Nero Show every week. I love how opinionated Chris and Jesse are. I think it's really refreshing. I often I don't agree with their opinion, but they're like so firm about it, and it's refreshing and it's fun to watch, and it's fun to hear their opinions and their views. They're both like way stronger than I am or ever will be, and they actually race, and I don't really race, so it's a whole different world of cycling that I don't get to watch or I don't get to experience. So I like living kind of vicariously through them in their podcast. Um, I used to watch a lot of GCN when I was beginning. I haven't watched as much lately. During the tour, I religiously watch Lantern Rouge. Throughout the rest of the year, I kind of like watch a little bit. I love Benji's channel, like his own personal channel. That's been really cool to see like his growth as a cyclist, and I think it's a lot. There's not a lot of um, like he's very honest with his journey. I think it's really tempting and very easy as a YouTuber to make your journey look glamorous, and he's not afraid of like showing everything, and I think that's really admirable. My buddy Andrick, who I just had on the podcast this last episode, he's one of my favorite YouTubers right now. So he's worked as like a cinematographer and a director, and now he's going into YouTube, and I think the rest of us are all screwed because he's just going to take over. His videos are like so good, and the more he like learns about YouTube and how YouTube works, I mean, I'm so excited to see where he goes. Outdoor Bros is going to be on the podcast next week. He's another one that I love to watch. Patrick Leno. I'm going to forget so many people. I've been watching some VC Let's Get It lately. VC Adventures, obviously. Yeah, I don't know. Beef. I don't have beef with anybody. So maybe I should get some beef. And we'll have that. Long, slow rides or fast, short rides. I'm fast, short rides by choice. If I were to have the two, my power curve is very much top end heavy. That's why I do the steep streets. I just have to endure, usually on the shorter ones, like a minute of pain, and then it's done. The long, slow rides are really, really tough. That ride with Cam in France destroyed me. The other really, really long ride I did, I rode across the loneliest road in America, which is freeway in Nevada. It was supposed to be a one-day ride. Like 12 hours in, I was like, no. And then it got dark, and I didn't prepare well for it. And Val was like, you should not be riding on the road in the dark without. And she was right. So it turned into 2 days. The second day was like 190 miles. And after that experience, it's like, oh, I don't really enjoy these long, long rides. I really respect people that do. Every time Lachlan Morton does something, it's just mind-boggling to me. Happy New Year, Tall Seb Vettel. I do have a dream of doing a collab with Sebastian Vettel sometime. I think that would be funny. A bunch of people put in the comments that I look like Sebastian Vettel. But obviously Valtteri Bottas would be the dream F1 collab. Although Carlos Sainz is doing more cycling content right now too, so maybe that. Michael Newman using RCA, that's awesome. Am I a sprinter, climber? Why isn't it letting me scroll up? Or all-rounder? I'm probably just a mediocre all-rounder. My profile is like a puncher. So my power profile is pretty decent up to like 3 minutes. And then it drops off pretty severely. So if I'm on a route that has a lot of really short, punchy climbs, I can do really, really well. After that, I'm just not as strong. So again, that's why I do a lot of the steep street videos. It works really well for my power profile and body type. Thanks, Carol. That's very nice. Hey, Mila. It's my niece. Be bald, be bold. Julian, I was bald and I was bold for 3 years. And then New Year's Eve 2021, I shaved off my beard. And so I was bald and my beard was gone. And when I came out of the bathroom after shaving, the look on Val and her whole family were there. And the look on their faces made me realize I could never do that again. And shortly after that, I was like, okay, I'm going to grow my hair out again. Like, and it wasn't them being judgmental. Like, I then looked in the mirror and I was horrified by what I saw. Some people can rock that look. Like Patrick Stewart, Star Trek, looks great. I look like I look like Voldemort, like the baby Voldemort when he's dying at the end of Harry Potter. It's not a good look. What's been your experience using the VeloFit app? The VeloFit app was like really, really helpful when I had the BMC road machine to kind of like learn about geometry and stuff. So earlier I was talking about how my wingspan is shorter than my height, and so having a shorter top tube is really advantageous. The VeloFit app is like how I learned that. So definitely like a really great place to go if you're not with like an in-person bike fitter, and it's really cost effective too. No questions, love the honesty. Oh, thanks, appreciate it. Hello from Russia. Thanks for all you're doing. Videos inspire me to work harder more often on climbs. Love the vibe. Thanks, man. After not riding a bike for 20 years, I got my first road bike this last fall, and I'm addicted. Currently also trying to figure out how to balance life. Yeah, it's so hard. Thank you for watching. Really appreciate it. Go ahead and trash the Bonk Bros. No, dude, I love their podcast. Oh, I didn't even mention Dylan Johnson on like videos that I like to watch. Like, yeah, man, because I'm a nerd. My printing channel before, I like dove into like the differences in paper types and why cotton rag is important, how it reduces the lignin content inside of the paper, and like how different dyes work. So I'm a nerd. Watching Dylan's videos and getting that like deep nerdy knowledge is so fun. Do you have any advice for cyclists dating non-cyclist partners? Similar to you, I tried to get my wife into cycling, but it didn't take. I don't know. It's like everything, right? Like it's a balance. Honestly, I think it's good that Val isn't super into cycling for me, because I have a tendency to dive all into whatever I'm doing, and having a partner that doesn't cycle keeps me from blowing up the rest of my life. So I guess my advice would be like, look for the positive in it. Like, yeah, it would be nice to have somebody to just ride around with all the time, but also like there's a reason why you're with that person. There's a reason why you love them. Focus on those things. Congrats on 100,000. Much love from Belgium. Thank you. Christopher, awesome, dude. 50-hour weeks in the holidays. Oh man, yeah. Good luck getting a sponsor. Room for you. Hey, Drick, Shreddy Pendergrass. How am I live already? Yeah, it was a scramble to get everything done. Beto, your J curve segment pushed me over the edge to roadie cure. Yes. If you didn't see that video, I think it's titled like 3 Lies You're Told About Cycling or something like that. And in it, I talk about the J curve with Lycra. The J curve, if you're not familiar with it, it's like a common curve that you see in a variety of places throughout life. It starts out high, it dips low, and then it ends up going even higher than where it started. And I use that to compare people's feelings about wearing Lycra. On the vertical axis, the top is how much you like Lycra, and then down is how much you disdain it. And then the horizontal axis is time. So you start out like not really opinionated on Lycra, and then as soon as you start riding, you hate Lycra, because this is just me projecting, obviously. You're worried about how your body's going to look and wearing all that tight clothing and what your friends and everything are going to think. But the deeper you get into cycling, the more time goes by, you kind of get over that, and then you start to think that Lycra looks good, and then you go into like the zone of delusion, where we all now think it looks good, and there's I reached out to Attacker to work with them because I like the way their kit looks, and I was like, it looks so good. But at the end of the day, we're just like a bunch of people wearing spandex in public. So like, how good do we actually look? But still, you should look as good as, anyways. That's a whole can of worms. But I think it looks good. Have you had the chance to do Chantry, Crystal Lake, or Baldy yet? I've done Baldy and Crystal Lake. I haven't done Chantry yet. So that's on the list now that it's open. Those are some like famous climbs here in LA, on the east side, in the San Bernardino Mountains. I think that's the name of the mountain range. A lot of really good riding on that side. Everybody talks about Malibu, but there's a lot of really good riding in like the Angeles National Forest. Favorite non-cycling YouTube channels? Oh, that's too much to get into. My favorite right now that I've been watching, this guy John Makes Beats, since one of the things that inspired me to try this live. He just makes beats live, and it's really, really fun to watch him jam out. And yeah, so I watch a lot of like music creation. That was like another hobby I had for a second. I wasn't super good at it, but I watch a lot of that YouTube lately. Any thoughts on hard shell versus soft shell cases for bike travel? I've always had soft shell, and I've been lucky, knock on wood, like fingers crossed. Right now I have the Scion. I think that's how you say it. Scion. I don't know. That one's nice because with integrated handlebars, you don't have to take it off. Before I had one by, why am I spacing out? It's the same one Phil Guyman uses. That's where I like learned about it from. And that one you have to take the handlebars off. So it's very small. You could fit it in the back of a taxi when you arrive wherever you're at. So if you don't have integrated handlebars, I think that's really, really great. Now that my bikes have integrated handlebars, I had to get a bigger case. Maybe one day I'll splurge for like a hard shell case, but I haven't done that yet. Hopefully I don't need a catastrophe to make me splurge on that. Vlad, congrats and keep up the amazing work. Do you have any idea why I experience knee pain every time I ride indoors or outdoors? Oh, Vlad, I'm sorry. Oh, if you have a bike fitter, go to a bike fitter. I'm not a physical therapist or a bike fitter. If you don't, check out my VeloFit. That might help you. I feel your pain, man. I wish I had the knowledge to help you, but I don't. Check out the RCA channel. A lot of the videos with Neil on there, and there's a lot of really good info. And he may have one video about knee pain. Patrick, love the channel. Always refreshing to see a normal guy talking about cool stuff he likes. Thanks, appreciate it. What's your take on used racing bikes? Any experience or opinions? I think if I were getting into biking right now, I would buy used, 100%. 2 episodes ago on the podcast, Elijah from Brita Cycles was on, and a kid called in with a question asking about that because he's looking in the used market, and Elijah gave some really good advice on picking out a used bike. So I don't recall all of it off the top of my head. I'd suggest checking that out. But what I do recall is buying from a local shop that you know and trust is going to be really, really helpful. You can reach out to them and just say like, hey, if anybody comes in, wants to trade in a bike, and this is kind of what I'm looking for, like hit me up. I'd love to check it out. And they could be a facilitator in helping you on that search. And since you have the relationship with them, they're going to make sure that they give you a good bike because they don't want to harm that relationship. And then in person, just Elijah said you put a finger over the whole bike to feel like if there's any dents or cracks or anything like that. Yeah, check out that whole segment if you want some more detail. Thoughts on Zone 2? Love Zone 2. I love Zone 2 with like a podcast or like an album that I love, and then I just kind of get in the zone. Aubrey, saddle's probably too high for Vlad. So yeah, maybe try that out. Good luck, Vlad. Yeah, anybody who can help out Vlad, maybe try to connect in the comments. Neil's videos are great. Best brand for clothing. I'm biased. I love Attacker. Like I said, I reached out to them originally. Most of my sponsors, I know it's always kind of weird with like YouTube sponsorships and everything. And maybe one day I'll make a video diving into that. It's a bit of a minefield. But the majority of my sponsors, like 90% of them, I reached out to them before they even reached out to me. So that was, Attacker was one of those. I liked their stuff. I had bought their stuff before I started working with them. So I really like their stuff. I've used their stuff, some stuff from Pedlo, which is another Australian brand, Jackaroo. They did the custom kits this last year for the RCA. I used theirs. I've ridden Rafa bibs. I've ridden Map. All of those I thought were really, really solid. How do you deal with the tumble of shame when your bike decisions fall on the side you clipped on? Oh man, so my rear derailleur on the road machine is scraped up, and I'm just embarrassed. I don't know how to deal with the shame. I just hold it in, or I live with it. Audrey, thank you. Really, really appreciate it. My dad also rides, and it's been fun talking with him about that. Okay, we will go back to questions over here. All right. Any other activities? Do you do any other gym fitness stuff outside of cycling? This is something I need to start this year. I'm just getting older. I'm 36 now. I turned 37 this year, and my back is starting to hurt more, probably because I'm not doing any core work, and my arms are withering away. So I gotta hit up the gym. So that's one of my goals for this year, and yeah, more to come, I guess. Let's see. Greetings from Germany. Do you do any recreational sports besides cycling? And if you do, what's your favorite sport? Right now, not really. When I was younger, I played a lot of soccer and I played a lot of basketball. I really enjoyed them. I grew up Mormon, and basically you live basketball as a Mormon, which is kind of like weird association, but all the churches have in the middle of them a court, like a basketball court. And so every week you play basketball. Like my dad, when he was growing up, they would do like a basketball league with all the Mormon churches around the United States. And his team, he was living in DC at the time, and they like went to like the national championships of Mormon basketball. So it's been a while since I've like played competitive basketball, but I really enjoy basketball. Soccer, I really, really love as well, or football. Yeah, that's it. I watch the NBA. I'm hoping the Lakers turn the season back around. We'll see what happens. It's kind of promising the last couple of games. So that's that. More content, please. I'm going through Mitch Boyer new content withdrawals. I get you have a job, family, other obligations, but I love your channel, your sense of humor. Hope to see more stuff soon. And when's the video on Scanupia? When are you going to do some more hill climb videos? Do you still ask videos? Do you have videos on your trip to Europe? Do you plan to make future videos? Greens for new content. Where videos? I know. Yeah, let's go back to this. So it is my full-time job. I guess like a little like personal info. I'm like trying to figure out how to balance everything. My skill sets are on the creative end. Time management, business skills, all of that, not so much my strength. And I've kind of found this year, so I've got all that going on. I have ADHD. I have had since I was a kid. Like my parents used to get frustrated with me because I would do my homework and I would go to school and then I wouldn't turn in the homework. I'd leave it in my backpack. Not on purpose, just I've never been really good at that part of it. And I've just tried to like power through it for a long time. And this year is the first year I'm like, if my whole life where I'm like, okay, I can't just raw dog my way through life. So like I've started going through that process of learning how to like manage everything. So that's been this year. With content, the other thing that's kind of happened is, well, like, so in the past, the way that I dealt with, I just pull all-nighters. But now that I'm older, I can't pull all-nighters. Like if I pull an all-nighter editing a video, the next 3 days I can't do anything. And so that's kind of like blown up on me. But that was how I compensated for my lack of organization and everything in the past. I'm too old to do that now, so I have to find other ways to kind of manage it. And then with as the YouTube channel has grown, my internal pressure has grown, and my demands on what should be in the video and the quality of the video has increased. And I've kind of done this like interesting transition. I've noticed in a lot of the comments where I've gone from being an underdog to now being kind of like an established player in this little tiny niche of cycling. And to be honest, like there's a larger amount of negative comments, and so that kind of like weighs on me. So I've just been kind of like figuring out how to deal with all that. All that comes with this job, and I'm happy to take it. I'm just learning how to deal with it. So content, I'm going to get to that point where I'm consistent. That's the main goal for this year, 2025. The podcast is part of that. The podcast will allow me to put out more content. Once it starts making money, I can hire an editor to do it. I don't want to hire an editor for my main videos. I enjoy editing. That's something that I've always loved to do. So I want to hold on to that for my main videos. But I also want to be able to put out more content, both for all of you, but also to make this business sustainable. So yeah, it's a work in progress, but we're gonna get there. And that's we'll go back to chat questions. Let's see. Mitch, what kind of supplements do you take daily or regularly? I take omega-3 like fish oils, CoQ10. I have some medications for depression, and then I have my hair loss medications. So I got a little mini pharmacy going on. That's it. I'm definitely not not super optimized, but I do try to, luckily thanks to Val, I eat fairly healthy most of the time. So this morning we had overnight oats, protein powder, blueberries, a little bit of peanut butter, a little bit of oat milk, and water. So that's always like really good. And then in the past, I'm not so good at this right now, but I was eating a lot of leafy greens to try to get a bunch of nutrients that way. Yeah, there'll be more in the video where I talk about like losing weight in preparation for my Europe trip. Yeah, Julian. If Tyler the vegan cyclist hits the gym and slays, it's our duty to hit the gym. Yeah. Do you have a football team you follow? I'm from England. Calling it soccer is just wrong for me. No, I don't. I'm such a fair weather fan. I basically just wait until the World Cup. And then usually, so my wife is Colombian, so I'm rooting for Colombia a lot of the time. And beyond that, I'm just like watching the games. So I'm not, I'm a poser that way. Yeah, that's good to hear about. Good luck on the ADHD journey. Therapy and medication absolutely changed my life. Yeah, it has been really, really good. I've worked with like an ADHD coach for a little bit. I've done a lot of therapy in my life. Like I mentioned earlier, I grew up Mormon. There's a lot of therapy required after that. And yeah, so I've been experimenting with different ADHD meds, and they've been helpful, and it's kind of finding the balance with all of that. Silly question: what does your tab 2 represent? Yes, okay. So I've got this. Let's see, make sure it's on there. Tattoo. So this tattoo, maybe it's better to here. Take a look at it, and then I'm gonna put my arm down. So it's got 3 arrows. When I was leaving the church, I got the tattoo because I wanted something. I was just in this time of like trying to find myself. The 3 arrows were supposed to represent like my past, present, and future, and they're like sending me forward, and they're all related. And it was, I thought I was being really, really clever. Now what happens? People think I was in the military, that I was a sergeant. There's also a very similar tattoo that came out after I got mine, which represents like people who have a sibling or a child with Down syndrome. So I don't have a child with Down syndrome. My mom, when my mom was pregnant with one of the kids, he had Down syndrome, but then he ended up he was like a stillborn. So I don't really have a Down syndrome sibling, but it's kind of nice to have. I don't know. Um, the I was just being a creative person, and thought I was being clever. Um, but yeah, that's that. That's that. Any advice on getting the bike when you really don't want to? I work in the trade 40 hours a week, and trying to train can be hard sometimes. Yeah, I imagine having a physical job and getting. Look, I don't have a physical job. Well, I guess I kind of do because it's this. This is my job, and I'm still. If you look at my Strava for the second half of the year, I've gone from like 10, 12, 14 hours a week down to like 4. Or there, it's. I think is sometimes you're just not motivated. Um, and I think that's okay. Let it ebb and flow a little bit. You do have to be careful to just not let it fall all the way off the cliff. But humans don't. We're not always excited to do everything all the time. And if you're worn out doing one thing, you got to let something else give. And that's, again, we're going back to this level of me trying to find balance. This is the lesson I'm learning sometimes. Like, you can't be good at everything all the time. And so for me, I'm kind of learning to let, if this is the amount of time I have, I can't do both things at 100%. Like, one, there's going to have to be a balance. Um, in regards to like practical day of advice to get on the bike, why is the light freaking out? Yeah, if I like to pump up my tires, fill up my water bottle, lay out my kit the night before. Like I did that last night, so I would go on the group ride this morning. And that's the, if I hadn't done that, I would have woken up, my alarm would have gone off, and I would have gone back to bed. So that helps a lot. And then sometimes you just have to get out and start, and then it's not so bad once you get going. And it might take 15 minutes or it might take an hour before you're feeling excited. I have definitely had those rides where I go through the whole ride, and it's not until the last 5 minutes that I'm finally into it. And I think that's okay. Other times I'm really excited. Like second half of the year in 2024, I wasn't super excited. It was a grind to get on the bike and keep going. I'm starting to feel hungry again. I'm starting to feel excited again. So that's how it is. Would you ever consider going to Ireland? I would. I work with someone, Connor, who he helps me manage brand deals. He's from Ireland. He lives in Sydney right now. And yeah, we've talked about some of the riding in Ireland, and it seems really incredible. FTP. I guess my FTP is probably around like 280 right now. So it's down a little bit from my peak. At my peak, I was like knocking on 320. So I'm down like 40 watts. But that's okay. That's just what's up with that. What's with the EJ and NorCal beef? I don't get it. Sounds like a joke. I mean, they put out their video, so that's I would refer to that. Hey Mitch, big fan from Montreal. Any advice on how to balance cycling with lifting? Coming from a powerlifter background where I don't want to lose all my strength. Cheers. Well, as you can see, I am also a powerlifter. That is a question for somebody who knows what they're talking about. I'm gonna try lifting this year. I mentioned a little bit earlier. I'm looking at some gyms, so maybe I'll have some more answers later on. I'm sure you can find some like good stuff. In regards to like the balance of losing kind of your identity, I guess, as a lifter, losing your strength. It's kind of like that balance thing between A and B, and you got to find what the right balance is for you. You don't have to become a super skinny climber to be a cyclist, right? Like you can hold on to your strength and find your own type of cycling. Like there's so many different kinds of cycling. Like we see a lot on YouTube of like crit racing and hill climbs, because that's a lot of what performs well on YouTube. But there's a lot of other cycling. Like you can just go on group rides, and depending on where you live, like my in-laws live in Miami, and all the rides out there, everybody's big and strong, and their FTPs are super high because it's flat. And so they just have to focus on being aero and putting down massive watts. Whereas like out here, it is advantageous to be a little bit lighter because there's so many climbs. So depending on the kind of riding you're doing and everything, you can find a balance, and you can find the riding that works for you and lets you still hold on to that identity as a power lifter while also adding to this new identity as a cyclist. Hi from Belgium. Hi. Thank you. Thank you, Bob the Duffel Bag. How is it being a duffel bag? That seems like an interesting life. Cool. Thank you. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. I have not gone to Belgium. I would love, yeah, Flanders would be really, really cool. I gotta figure out, so it's hard with travel. Like there's so many places I want to go, and only so many videos I can make every year. So that is a balance. I would love to do a Flanders video, though. I think that's definitely something that I would love to do. Liam, would you rather ride 50 miles in jorts or 50 miles in Crocs on flat pedals? Crocs, flat pedals. I'd rather be wearing my kit for the comfort. I think that's what I would pick. Bald man. Hello, bald man. Hey Mitch, would you ever do road racing or grand fondos? I've considered it. So I did go to Sea Otter and I did the road race this last year. There's no video because I got a catastrophic flat on the second lap, and it just wasn't like interesting. And I also just got my ass handed to me. So there's that. A while ago, Ryan, my coach, and I were talking about doing like the UCI Grand Fondo thing. So that's something that I would consider. So that was something we had talked about, that maybe for 2024 that was going to be a series we do. And I wanted to do a few more like steep street videos before focusing on that. Now that the steep street videos, like I'm going to continue to make steep street videos, but I want to find another bucket of videos to make. So maybe that's definitely potential. Epic mountain bike clips. What's your 20-minute FTP? Yeah, so my 20-minute power right now, I could probably hold around like 290, maybe 300 for 20 minutes. So my FTP would be around 280. That is that. Hey, Mitch, I'm new to riding. I feel like I'm chasing bike fit. Is it just a bike thing as I'm changing things all the time? Yeah, it's hard when you first start out to figure out like what works really, really well. It's been interesting. So I'm working on a mountain biking video right now. And with mountain biking, there's a lot of bike body separation. Whereas on the road bike, like you're glued to the bike pretty much the whole time. So on mountain biking, you've got a dropper post. You'll drop the post while you're like descending. You're moving the bike around a lot. And it's made my road bike fits a little bit more flexible. But still, it's really important, I think, to get kind of dialed in on the road bike. I'm not a bike fitter, but I would say if you're changing things a lot, maybe just stop for a bit and ride the bike fit as is for like a month and see how it feels then, because it's really tempting. It's hard with one ride to know how fit's gonna kind of feel unless you've been riding for a long time. So I don't know if that's good advice or not, but my advice is leave it alone for like a month and ride it, and then maybe make an adjustment. But the real advice would be go watch Neil's videos on the RCA channel, because he probably has some good advice there. Sean, I find sometimes taking a bit of time away from the bike provides the motivation I need. After a week or so of not riding, I'm itching to stretch the legs again. Yeah, that's really good advice. Gustavo, are you sticking with a 4633 crankset? Oh, this is something I've been thinking a lot about lately. Elijah and I have been talking about a bike for this year. And now that the red group set has a 10 to 36 cassette, I'm thinking about going up to the bigger chainring. But I don't know yet. It is really nice to have the lower, easier gears for all the steep climbs I do. Doesn't Phil Guyman have a Fondo he runs? You can bring him raisin cookies. Well, I'm sure he'd love the raisin cookies. He does. I've done the Fondo last 3 years. It's fun. It's really, really fun. This year I showed up 30 minutes late. And so the first climb was at Threshold. And that was a fun adventure. we have a new guest. Remy, come here. Hey, Bubby. This is Remy. Remy is a year and a half old. And he's just a little terror, aren't you? But he's adorable. Baldman, as an XC kid, how is a steep mountain bike climb compared to steep road climb for you? They're both difficult. I've had to learn with the mountain biking to put my weight a little further back. On the road bike, when I'm going up a steep climb, I can push my weight all the way forward. In fact, I found it's easier for the steep climbs with a longer stem, and you can really put your weight over the front wheel. Obviously, when you're riding up dirt and loose dirt, you can't do that because your back wheel will spin out and then you fall. So that's been kind of the thing that I've been learning. I did do, as part of my Road Cyclist Tries mountain biking, I did a steep street climb on both the road bike and the mountain bike to compare them. And I'll just give it away now. At the same power, same cadence, the mountain bike was not only like 15% slower, I think it was 15% slower, maybe like somewhere between 10 and 15% slower. The relative perceived effort was substantially higher, and that was with the suspension locked out. But still, like, the tires are bigger. They're a little bit like softer. The the suspension still gives a little bit even when it's locked out. And most of the time when you're riding, you don't really notice it, but going up like a 30% grade, you do notice it, and the tires stick a little bit more, and it's just a little bit harder. But there is a bit more grip, so there's kind of a trade-off there. Val should come say hi. We'll see how Val's feeling, if she wants to come say hi or not. Run down your bike gears and accessories. All the cameras are locked in, otherwise I turn them around. That's a really long video. Yeah, that's too long to go in for right now. Right now I'm riding most of the time the Rita Spree. It's got the new red levers, but the old red gears and derailleur and everything. I've got Conti GP 5000s on there, 32 millimeters, 40 mil deep rim. The others, that's Rita's in-house brand. And that's what I ride 90% of the time. Let me make sure my dog isn't chewing on anything he shouldn't be chewing on. BRB. As suspected, he was chewing on something he shouldn't have been. He was chewing on my SRAM battery charger. That's not something you should be chewing on. Okay, come here, Bubba. Oh yeah, beta. Yeah, mountain bikes are heavy. Yeah, it's definitely a lot heavier. Okay, let's see. We'll go back to these questions. All right. George says, if budget wasn't a concern, what would be your dream video to make? What would be my dream video to make? Oh, we got some ASMR going on with Remy here. Oh, I don't know, man. I've been so lucky to make my dream. Like, I got to go to the Tour de France this last year. That was a dream. And ride around the French Alps and the Italian Alps and the Swiss Alps. That's all been really, really incredible. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is part of the thing too. Like, I've been so lucky with the videos that I've been able to make. It's been a dream. I think I really like those travel videos, and I like the experiences. I'm still trying to, I haven't been able to do it yet. I've kind of like tried it a little bit, but I really want to show people how good LA is actually for cycling. And I always get a lot of comments like, what are you talking about? I think people don't really understand how good it actually is. Having ridden in a lot of places around the world, yeah, I don't know if that's like making an event and bringing people out here or a video, but there's something here that's really, really special. And a lot of people dismiss it because it's LA, and I understand that. A lot of LA is just like superficial and it is lame. But then there's other parts of LA that are amazing, and the cycling community, especially on the east side of LA, is a really, really special community, and the riding is really, really special. So I think right now the dream video is to do something like that. Other dream video, yeah, would love to do a collab with some F1 drivers. I think that'd be fun. Get a ride around a racetrack on the bike, and maybe also in a car. That would be really fun. All right. Let's see here. Fun rides and video ideas. Do you see yourself doing more intense adventures? Oh, I'm sorry. Going all around. Like the Death Road. Yes. This month, January, I'm going to Maui with Phil Guyman. And he's got a KOM that he's going after, and then I'm going to do a much more chill ride. And I haven't been training very hard, so I'm a little worried about that. But that will be a fun one. There are a lot of really, really cool opportunities that I have to choose from this year in 2025. And I don't want to give anything away yet until I've made that decision. But yeah, some more dream videos coming up for sure. You should do a video on bike poses so we can really nail our shots on Strava. That was a good idea. Maybe Andrick and I can do like a collab on that, because he's very, very good at that. And same with Mike Simpson, who was on a podcast episode earlier. He's a cinematographer, so they both really, really know what they're talking about. But that's a good idea, actually. I like that. Krant, ever think of doing group rides with your subscribers? These could be little community events in the cities that you visit for hill climbs. Thanks for renewing my love of biking. Oh, I'm glad it renewed your love of biking. Yes, have thought about it. I am talking with some sponsors about doing potentially like a little event this year to try it out. That is something maybe I'd like to do, but I'm going to try it at a small scale first, and then we'll see where it goes. For now, I like anytime like I go travel somewhere and I get to go on a group ride. It's been really fun to meet y'all and ride with people. Let me make sure my dog's not doing anything he shouldn't be doing again. Okay, he's good. Do you plan to do a race like I'm gonna butcher. Is it out Alps soon? I don't know how to pronounce it. Races, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I should do a race. If I were to do a race, it'd be a road race, not a crit. I'm a little afraid of crashing, and I've always been. The truth is, with like racing, I've protected myself by not ever really finding out where I stand. And if I race, I'm going to discover how weak I actually am. So there's a bit of fear there, but I think it would be good to do. It'd be good to stretch myself a bit. Can you interview more cyclists and find more stories to share? Yes, that's a big part of the podcast. One of the big goals with the podcast is I want to get to the point where I can not only have big guests, like I'd love to interview Tade one day, and Remco and Jonas and Wout, and like that's a dream, and like people who run big cycling companies. But then I also want to interview lots of cyclists who do cool things, because there are a lot of us, and we all do different stuff, and it's cool to see all of us as like a full human being rather than just somebody in Lycra. And rather than telling people that, I want to show it by doing the interviews. Will you do more races and events? It'd be good to see Common Man race POVs. Yeah, maybe. We'll see. This is my buddy. Gonna do some dirt content now that he got that mountain bike. I sent the mountain bike back to BMC. But I do have a little bit of the bug. I want to get a mountain bike. Val's like, no more bikes, because this little room is filled with bikes right now, and I don't know. It's tempting. It's tempting to get a mountain bike, but I'm making so much content. Otherwise, I don't know. To be determined. All right. Let's go. We'll switch camera angles again. Several Cat 1 climbs, couple or category climbs, nice long river pass for endurance. LA's great. Yeah. Like 100%. People don't anyway. Although I will say the tarmac is horrible here for the most part. So bring some big fluffy tires. I ride like 32s everywhere. Don't get dropped. Me and you, Montreal F1. Let's do it. I'm down. Swap Phil's power bars and gels out for raisin products. Ken, you're trying to get me in trouble with Phil. It would be pretty funny. I pranked Phil Guyman and ruined his KOM. Sure he would love that. Hey, Frankie 5000, what's up, dude? If you can hang with EJ, you can hang in a race. Bro, I did a training camp with EJ. It was, I think, 5 days long. Day 5, I could not hang with EJ anymore. It was done. So I need a little more strength then. He's strong. He's a strong young buck. Teresa, hi. All right, we'll go back over here. We're kind of coming to an end. Again, I appreciate you all hanging out with me. This has been a lot of fun. Let's see how much. We have. Oh, there's so much. I don't think we're gonna get to all of the stuff. I've got to wrap up this stream by like 1:45. So we'll get as far as we can into it. Teresa, is BMC your favorite bike brand? It's one of my favorites for sure. I like a lot of bike brands. I like BMC. I have a Specialized. Val has a Cannondale. I ride a Ritter right now. Honestly, most bikes these days are actually really amazing. There's not a lot of like bad bikes. Mountain bikes. What gravel versus road versus mountain bike differences have you found in your experience? We kind of talked a little bit about the steep street thing. I've been shocked at how smooth it is to ride a modern mountain bike. Before riding this BMC, and it's an XC bike, so a cross-country bike. It's made for racing. It's not a downhill mountain bike. It doesn't have the most travel or the most like shocks of a mountain bike. It's supposed to be like a mellow one. But I felt like I could ride over anything on that bike. So like bumps and cracks in the road and huge stumps, I stopped paying attention to them on the mountain bike. When I went back to the road bike, I had to quickly start paying attention again because it's a whole different experience. The road bike, there's nothing like just like safely bombing down a descent on a road bike. It's so fun, and it's light and it's fast. Gravel, I don't know. I haven't caught the gravel bug yet. I've tried. To me, gravel kind of feels like whatever. This is gonna get me canceled. I would rather personally right now have a road bike and a mountain bike than have a gravel bike, if that makes sense. I probably shouldn't have said that. Okay. Oh, this is funny. I posted like a request for questions and I showed my like subscriber graph going up. So Steven said the graph is pretty steep. Think you could write up it. Thanks. Good one. Car reveal. We have a Subaru and it's black. Why our bikes? I don't know, Scott. Why our bikes? Because Errol, this is one of my buddies. Can I touch your play button? Yeah, Errol, anytime you want to touch my play button, you can touch my play button. You have to come out and visit though. All right, win a race. That's a steep ask to win a race. That requires a lot. Are we gonna do a Val reveal right now?
Yeah.
Oh, you get a Val reveal. All right, we'll switch over to this. Okay, come say hi. This is Val and Remy.
Hi. Where do I look?
That camera over
Oh,
there.
hello.
Tell the people about yourself.
I'm Val. We can't have any more bikes in this room.
That's why you came in. See, I told you I'm not allowed to have any
No more bikes.
No more bikes. How are you gonna ever ride your bike again?
Yes, when we get the hitch on the car.
Oh yeah, we gotta get I gotta put a hitch on the car so we can put our bike rack on the car. Poor Val had like a terrible experience riding across like a crosswalk. We won't go into it, but it traumatized her enough that she's like, I'm not gonna ride the bike again until we can like go to like the Rose Bowl where we can ride laps around. So
yeah, I can't ride in the streets of LA because I'm scared.
Yeah.
But bye. Nice to meet you guys.
Thanks for coming on. That's Val. She's pretty great, huh? Let's see. Yeah, I do have to do rapid fire. Thoughts on putting deep carbon rims on a Trek? I found a great deal, but I don't know if that'd be dumb. I think wheels are like really good bang for your buck. And I'm tires and then wheels. Well, I would say if you're gonna upgrade your bike, number one is I think your seat. It's a very important contact point. Number two, your tires, and number three, your wheels. So if you've done those first two, I think wheels are a great upgrade for any bike. Do you prefer Tade or Jonas? I'm a Tade fan. I like Jonas too. I gotta go hang out with the Visma team during the Tour de France on the Galibier stage where Tade dropped Jonas. It was really difficult to like hold in my cheering like while I'm with the team. But yeah, I'm a Tade fan. It's so fun to watch him, and he's, he just like races with his heart, and it's fun. It's fun to watch. Yeah. Val should have her own Q&A. N+1, yeah, Sean. I haven't been able to fully articulate the intricacies of the N+1 algorithm to Val. Have you made an honest woman of Val yet? Val's the most honest woman I've ever met. Yeah, I punch way over my weight. 100%. You don't even know. Bar width. Right now I'm riding 38s on the Rita. The BMC has the Envy bars. It's 37 at the top and 42 in the drops. And then I've got big old sweatback bars on the Specialized. Really riding above threshold with Val there. Yes, 100%. Is your girl an OnlyFans model? All right. It is funny though, because we kind of talked about like I'm the one doing social media right now. It's very, very backward. All right, back to this. We're going to run through really, really quick. I got to set my timer so that I don't miss. We got 10 minutes. And try to answer as many as I can, as fast as I can. Unsubscribe for the culture. Okay. That's okay. I get it. Interestingly, subscribers... Do I want to... We'll talk about that later. Some really nerdy like YouTube stuff about like how much subscribers actually matter. They matter a lot for like how a brand views you, but the YouTube, I guess we're going to talk about it right now. The YouTube algorithm doesn't care about your subscriber count that much. That's why you may have noticed there's a lot of smaller YouTubers that are popping up in your feed because YouTube's working on improving their algorithm to show you more of the videos you actually want rather than just like the videos you're subscribed to. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing depends on who you talk to. I do think it's good that smaller creators are getting shown more often. So yeah, there's kind of like that shift in how YouTube works. However, when you're negotiating with brands, it does help to have a higher subscriber count because that's still what brands are looking at. They haven't really like caught on to like view count is maybe a little more important or engaged audience, new versus returning viewers. I need to stop going down this rabbit hole. Cycling's impact on my life and mental health. How has biking changed you physically, mentally, etc.? Heavily on mentally. Biking helps me a lot. Not enough. Without going into too much detail and being like a complete sob story, I've dealt with a lot of depression in my life. Cycling alone is not enough to deal with my depression. So every time people say like, oh, like exercise is going to help you. I'm like, be a little careful there, because sometimes some people, their brain chemistry is just like a little different. You need a little more than just exercise and eating well. Like, unfortunately, like there are things I'm really, really good at. Time management, mental health, those are things I'm like working on and not as good at. Biking, however, is a very important piece of that pie that helps me. That analogy doesn't work. Um, but it is what it is. We're doing rapid fire. So cycling is important. It's not everything for me for my mental health. Physical health, it has been everything, and my arms have whittled away to nothing, so it can't be everything there either. You got to balance. Have you ever gotten bored or tired of cycling? And if so, what got you back into being excited about it? Yes. Kind of talked about this a little bit earlier. Burned myself out by like diving really hard into content and training first half of this year. Wasn't so excited. And the way that I got back into it, talking with Ryan, my coach, he's been really good about like, hey, if you're just not feeling it, you got to like give it time and let it come back. Because if you just keep pushing, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. So sometimes time is what you need. Outdoor Bros, Chris. Chris is on the podcast next week. What do you like most about cycling? There's so much. What do I like most about cycling? I think it's being outside is the thing I like most. Cycling takes me places I never would have gone without cycling. And that includes like places in my neighborhood and places around the world. And that's pretty special to me. Simon, another buddy of mine, talk about mental health, procrastination, perfectionism, running a channel with depression. Simon and I have talked a lot about this. That's a bigger chat for another time, not for the rapid fire round. It's hard. And I'm learning how to do it. That's the short answer. Indoor riding. Do you plan to do more indoor bike riding content, Zwift and Indy Velo? Well, Indy Velo is now part of Training Peaks, so it's free with my training plan. Maybe. I don't know. We kind of already talked about indoor riding. I always feel guilty about this. I know it's like such a big thing, and for a lot of people, it's like really amazing. I like gravel. I haven't really caught the bug. Sorry. Training. How do you structure your zone 2 training throughout the week? Would you recommend a power meter? If it's within your budget and you're looking to train, I 1000% recommend a power meter. It makes your training a lot easier to be effective. You can have effective training without it, but a power meter will really, really make it easier for you to gauge your efforts and train consistently. We talked a little bit earlier. Zone 2 training is usually like 3 or 4 days a week, and then 1 or 2 days a week are interval sessions that are more intense. What cycling workout has helped you the most? I'm curious since I've never done structured training. Really depends on what I'm training for. For steep streets, the workouts that have helped me the most have been like low cadence. Oh man, the dogs are going crazy right now. Low cadence, high power like intervals. So we're talking like 50, 45 for the cadence, and then like a VO2 max effort. Those have really, really helped with the steep street stuff. For when I do long rides, it's zone 2 training. I just have to build up that endurance base. So it kind of depends on what you're training for. Fueling. Kelvin. Wait a second. That's not your name. Eating for performance can be boring. What are your favorite meals to keep it interesting for you? Andrew and I talked about this on the podcast a little bit. I think it's, when you're on long rides, stop at a cafe and have a delicious treat that looks good to you. Favorite carb. My favorite carb, I feel like I can't say this because Phil has like cornered the market, but chocolate chip cookies are my favorite carb. Quick runner up is probably like a cake donut. Love a good cake donut. Congrats. How do you plan your nutrition? Ensure that you're consuming enough calories to allow your body to recover and prevent burnout. That's coming up in a video soon. So we're going to skip on that since we only have less than 5 minutes left. Where are we at with this? Oh, man. Okay. How many meters of elevation will you gain this year or feet? Will you get to 100,000 feet, meters, or followers first? I got, I think, 400,000 feet of elevation. So I I think I got to that before 100,000 subscribers. If you got a contract with Pro Team as a domestique, which team GC leader would you pick? I would never get a contract. It would not even be close. It would be bad. If I had to pick one, I'd probably do Visma because they're a really tight group of people. Yeah, I think I'd like that. Why'd you switch from Cask helmet to the Met one? I liked the way the Met one looked. That's the truth. Why don't you ride with VC on his Canada to Mexico ride? Didn't get invited. But, and also, like, that ride's intense, man. Like, Tyler does I think he can suffer better than any other YouTube cyclist. Like, he does better at suffering than anybody else that makes YouTube cycling videos. I watch his stuff and I'm like, man, how do you, it's incredible. Finding people to ride with. Hey, Mitch, hope you're doing well. Congrats on 100K. How do you recommend finding groups in a new city? Just moved to a big city and getting tired of riding alone. Thanks for all you do in the community. Love if you did some rides in Pacific Northwest. That would be cool. Strava groups, I think, are really, really a good place to start. If anybody in the comments has recommendations for Maya, you can drop them in. I'm really lucky that I have this like platform because I get invited on rides and I'm shy. I would not have sought them out without people inviting me on rides. So maybe putting yourself out there, posting about your like riding, if that's something that you're interested in doing, is good. Otherwise, Strava and whatever people in the comments say. Oof, running tight. LA, we come cycle Tuesday. Yeah, I gotta go and do the cycle ride and favorite bike rides in LA. We're gonna have to say that for another video. That's too big. Steep streets. Have you ridden all the steepest streets in the world yet? If not, how many more do you have to go? Oh, there's so many. I get so many comments. The one in Scanupia, if you saw the video, you know kind of like how that turned out. Going forward with steep street videos, I want to make sure I have a local guide and I've talked with the people that live on the street, make sure I have all of the permissions and everything I need to do. There are a lot more streets that are like Scanupia than I think people know. At least from the research I've done, preliminary research. When riding up a 40% grade, have you ever unironically told your legs to shut up? Oh, yes, very much. There's a Fargo Street here in LA. Google's topographic database says it hits 54%. I don't know. I haven't measured it yet. I am always telling my legs to shut up on that climb. YouTube questions. What do you think the biggest reason for steep increase in subscribers? Looks like a steep curve in a short time. We can go here really quick. We can look at audience, subscribers. Every time I have a peak, it's because there's a video that popped off. So this was the Tour de France video. We'll go, last year there was a bunch. This, I think, was the Dirty Dozen. This was a training video. So those all help. But then in addition to that, there is just like a steady increase. So a lot of these bumps are big videos, but you can see the overall trend line goes up. So I think consistency and then figure out videos that will go beyond your audience. So you have to make videos that your audience wants, and then you have to make videos that people that are maybe outside of your audience would be curious about. That's how you grow your audience. If you produce videos for the same audience every single week, you're going to grow very, very slowly. You have to expand to new people if you want to grow quickly. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. How did it feel to hit 99,000 subscribers, and how is it different than hitting 100,000 subscribers? 100,000 subscribers felt different because I knew I could order the 100,000 plaque from YouTube. Beyond that, it didn't feel different at all. I get more excited when a video does well than I did about 100,000 subscribers. It's hard. Like, I'm very grateful to hit that. That number is so astronomically large, I cannot picture it, and it doesn't seem real. Every time I meet somebody in real life that's like, oh, I watch your videos, I'm like, oh, there's real people behind these numbers. It's kind of like weird and shocking, and I feel very lucky to do it. But I get more excited when a video pops off than like the subscriber count. What video did you have the most fun making? Favorite non-cycling YouTube channel? We talked about that one. John Makes Beats, Jon Makes Beats. Check him out. Really cool. What video did you have the most fun making? Oh, yeah. Look at my list of videos. Content. Go back. I think actually, in a weird way, the one that was at in New Zealand, second of the world's steepest street, because that was the first time I had worked with like an external camera crew, and the news crew roasted me. But they're all like they roasted me in the way that New Zealanders or Kiwis roast you. It was very loving, and my family's very dry and sarcastic, and so it felt very, very nice. And I'm glad they were there because I probably would have like given up and not made the video or something if they weren't there. That was probably the most fun to make. What does the next 6 months to a year look like for you as a YouTube? What content are you looking to produce? More podcasts, more big adventure videos, and I want to do a little more like educational videos. Do you still find doing YouTube enjoyable? Yes, I love YouTube. I'm obsessed with YouTube. It's my favorite thing, besides my wife and my dogs. Is that it? That was it. Okay, we'll go to questions from all of you. Oh my goodness, I wasn't showing myself. I was so animated and you guys didn't see it. All right, final questions. And then we're going to wrap it up. Teresa, how do you deal with bullies that say I'm a slow rider even though I'm really good? I'm sorry. I think it's... I guess like... I don't know your situation. I only know like when I get like a negative comment or a bully, I will either avoid it or I will just try to be super nice to that person. And then usually they flip afterwards. I don't know if that'll work with the bullies on your ride. They shouldn't be bullying you, especially if you're faster than them. It's probably insecurity on their part. Best football club in the world. I don't know what Brecon City is. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to look that up afterwards. I'd enjoy a video or post or whatever about your mental health as I'm on a similar boat, remeds and bikes. It's something I thought about. I want to make sure I like hit the right tone. I'm sure you understand. I think for a lot of people who deal with it, we're actually like very okay with talking about it. For people who don't, it's a little bit of a weird... It feels weird to them. So I want to find the right kind of balance because I think it's something important to talk about. Maybe we'll have a podcast guest who's actually credentialed and would be helpful for everybody. Maybe we'll do something like that. Christian, oh, thank you. Thank you very much for the super like or the I don't know what this is called. But I appreciate it, man. That's good. That's good advice. Look for local discords. Oh, Reddit too. There's like a subreddit for LA cycling. So there may be a subreddit for wherever you are in the Pacific Northwest. Yeah, shorts do help with growth. I made a lot less shorts this year than I did last year because I found they increased my subscribers, but they weren't the same viewers that were watching the rest of my videos. And I really like making long form videos. So if you're a shorts creator, that's a really good way to grow. And if that's what you want to make, it's great. If you're a long form creator, I think you gotta kind of find a balance between the two. Yeah, Colin and Samir. What influence have they had on your content? Dude, Colin and Samir are the goats. They're awesome. If you're into YouTube, they're the ones to check out. They host events here in LA. This is a nice thing about being in LA. There's a lot of like YouTube people here. One of my proudest moments is Samir complimented me on one of my jackets I was wearing at the event. That was pretty exciting. I'm way more excited about that than I probably should be. To all of you, that probably means absolutely nothing. But yeah, Sean, thanks, Mitch. Keep up the great work. You're awesome. You're awesome, Sean. Thanks for all the good questions today. How's the crank chain ring stuck on your last ride? So James mechanic at Rita had the like. Basically like jam part of the bike under a really heavy table in order to take the crank off. We didn't want to tie the crank to the chain stays and try to take it off that way. Not sure what happened and why it was so tight. Couldn't figure it out, but it was super tight on there. It's off now. Bike is back to 2x. So that's it. I'll take one or two more questions and then I got to wrap it up. I got to go. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Really looking forward to this year. Really grateful for all of you watching not only this, but a lot of my videos. Um, I if it's not clear already, like I feel very, very lucky to do this. It's not like a given. It's not like I feel like I do have a talent for telling stories and making videos, but a lot of YouTube is actually like luck that I picked a video that resonated with an audience. So I feel very lucky to be able to do this. Leg warmers over under stocks. I put mine over today. I don't know if that's what you're supposed to do or not, but that's what I did. I know, yeah, I'm 5 minutes over. Better for cleats, boa or laces? I'm into laces right now. I've been wearing laces. I don't know. I find them a little more comfortable. Apparently, they're more aero too. Has anyone told you look like Sebastian Vettel? Yes, yes. Rachel, I'm assuming you're just joining us now. That's a dream video of mine to make, is to do a collab with him. I get that comment every once in a while. How do you ride with 38 centimeter bars with good control? They felt a little narrow at first, but I got used to them, and now they feel normal to me. Excited to watch the videos? Yes, thank you. I hope so. Dude, can't stick around, but thanks for great content. Steven, thank you. Frankie 5000, we're going to give you the last one. Respect. Thanks, man. Appreciate you all. I got to go. Thanks again. And yeah. Let me know if you want me to do more of these in the future. It's been fun. And now I will hit the stop.